On the April 16th episode of Summer House, Paige DeSorbo opened a raw and emotional window into the internal battles she was fighting before her eventual split with Conover. Filmed several months before their breakup became public, the episode gave viewers a front-row seat to the unraveling of a relationship that, from the outside, seemed steady and glamorous. What unfolded instead was a deeply human portrait of a woman grappling with the weight of her emotions, future, and love life. Paige, known for her typically composed demeanor and quick-witted personality, was visibly emotional during her confessionals and candid conversations with friends. She broke down in tears while reflecting on how much she had changed since her relationship with Craig began. She admitted she was no longer the same person Craig had originally fallen for, not because of any specific fallout, but because she was growing in different directions, emotionally, mentally, and professionally. A key theme that emerged from Paige's emotional reflections was anxiety. She opened up about feeling increasingly unsure about where her life was heading and how that uncertainty was affecting her relationship. Her anxiety wasn't just about the relationship itself, it was about the broader pressure she felt as a woman approaching a pivotal stage in life. Entering her 30s, she found herself questioning whether she was ready for marriage, children, or even moving to a different state, all things that Craig, who is based in Charleston, was seriously considering. This tension between their life paths became more pronounced over time. Craig seemed more ready to settle down, envisioning a future that involved a clear trajectory toward family and stability. Paige, on the other hand, was in the midst of a flourishing career, co-hosting her hit podcast Giggly Squad, embarking on a national tour, and growing her brand in New York. She expressed that while she loved Craig deeply, she wasn't sure she could give him what he wanted without sacrificing pieces of herself. Paige's vulnerability was striking. In one emotional moment, she admitted to feeling like she was constantly putting pressure on herself to live up to expectations, both hers and others. The societal timeline of when a woman should get married or have kids weighed heavily on her. She felt like everyone around her was settling down, and though she didn't want to rush into anything she wasn't ready for, the anxiety of not doing things on time was palpable. It wasn't just about Craig or their compatibility, it was also about Paige reckoning with who she was becoming. She explained how being with Craig forced her to confront tough questions about herself and her future. Rather than ignore those questions, she sat with them, even when it was painful. And that self-exploration, while necessary, came at an emotional cost. Despite the sadness and stress, there was no animosity in how Paige spoke about Craig. She repeatedly emphasized that Craig wasn't the villain, and neither was she. Their relationship didn't end because of betrayal or some dramatic fallout. It ended because they were simply growing apart. The deep respect and love they had for each other were still evident, making the decision to part ways even harder. Paige even remarked in the episode that there was still so much love there, which made her grief all the more complicated. Their breakup, later confirmed publicly in the weeks following the episode, came as a shock to fans who had rooted for the Bravo power couple. But watching the episode retroactively made it clear that the signs had been there, not in fights or conflicts, but in quieter, more intimate revelations. Paige wasn't unhappy in the traditional sense, she was just not in alignment with where the relationship seemed to be heading. And sometimes, that misalignment is enough. In interviews and podcast appearances following the episode's airing, Paige has maintained that there was no drama behind the scenes. She and Craig remain on good terms, still speaking highly of one another and even keeping the door open for friendship. Paige has been clear that the breakup was a mature, mutual decision, one based on love, not resentment. Her candidness about her struggles with anxiety and self-doubt has resonated with fans. Many have praised her for showing a different kind of strength, not the kind that charges ahead confidently, but the kind that admits fear, uncertainty, and heartache. In a world of highly curated social media relationships, Paige's willingness to let viewers see her vulnerable side has struck a chord. Now, with the breakup behind her, Paige seems more focused than ever on continuing to build her career and rediscover herself outside of the context of a relationship. She's embracing the single life, not as a loss but as a new opportunity for personal growth. And while she may not have all the answers about love, marriage, or the future, what's clear is that she's committed to staying true to herself, even when it's hard. The episode was a reminder that relationships aren't always about the presence of love, but also about timing, compatibility, and individual growth. Paige DeSorbo's emotional journey wasn't just about a breakup, it was about becoming the woman she wants to be, even if that means walking away from something that once felt like everything.